Sure. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyashcha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Ibo, thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhu.
you so much, Prabhu, for your kind allowing me to read.
Ibo.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, so today we're trying to finish the introduction. I think we have like 14 or maybe 12 pages. Ibo.
Okay, I can read. Or J Prabhu wants to also read, or Sami Prabhu, would you like? Or
Sure, I would love to read.
Yes, Prabhu.
thank you, Prabhu. Please continue, Prabhu. Thank you.
The Supreme Lord and His Transcendental Abode are both Sanatan, as are the living entities. And the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatan Abode is the perfection of human life. Can you hear me all, Prabhus? I'm on my phone, so I'm not sure.
Yes, we were able to hear you, Prabhu.
The Lord is very kind to the living entities because they are His sons. Lord Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonishaham Bija Prada Pita. I am the father of all. Of course, there are all types of living entities according to their various karmas, but here the Lord claims that He is the father of all of them. Therefore, the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditional souls to call them back to the Sanatan eternal sky so that the Sanatan living entities may regain their eternal Sanatan positions in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes Himself in different incarnations, or sends His confidential servants as sons, or His associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. Therefore, Sanatan Dharma does not refer to any sectarian process of religion. It is the eternal function of the eternal living entities in relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord. Sanatan Dharma refers, as stated previously, to the eternal occupation of the living entity. Ramanujacharya has explained the word Sanatan as that which has neither beginning nor end. So when we speak of Sanatan Dharma, we must take it for granted, on the authority of Sri Ramanujacharya, that it has neither beginning nor end. The word religion is a little different from Sanatan Dharma. Religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change his faith and adopt another. But Sanatan Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. For example, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the living entity cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatan Dharma is eternally integral with the living entity. When we speak of Sanatan Dharma, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sri Ramanujacharya, that it has neither beginning nor end. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. Yet, those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian. But if we go deeply into the matter and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe. Non-Sanatan religious faith may have some beginning in the annals of human history. But there is no beginning to the history of Sanatana Dharma because it remains eternally with the living entities. Insofar as the living entities are concerned, the authoritative Shastras state that the living entity has neither birth nor death. In the Gita, it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. He is eternal and indestructible. And he continues to live after the destruction of his temporary material body. In reference to the concept of Sanatana Dharma, we must try to understand the concept of religion from the Sanskrit root meaning of the word. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with the particular object. We conclude that there is heat and light along with the fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire. Similarly, we must discover the essential part of the living being, that part which is his constant companion. That constant companion is his eternal quality, and that eternal quality is his eternal religion. When Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the Svarup of every living being, the Lord replied that the Svarup, or constitutional position, of the living being is the rendering of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we analyze the statement of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, we can easily see that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. A living being serves other living beings in two capacities. By doing so, the living entity enjoys life. The lower animals serve higher beings as servants serve their master. A serves B master, B serves C master, and C serves D master, and so on. Under these circumstances, we can see that one friend serves another friend. The mother serves the son, the wife serves the husband serves the wife, and so on. If we go on searching in the spirit, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service. The politician presents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service. The voters therefore give the politician their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable service to society. The shopkeeper serves the customer, and the artisan serves the capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state in the terms of the eternal capacity of the living being. In this way, we can see that no living beings are exempt from rendering service to other living beings. And therefore, we can safely conclude that service is the constant companion of the living being, and that the rendering of service is the eternal religion of the living being. Hare Krishna Prabhu, does anyone want to continue?
Yes, Prabhu, I can continue from here. So,
Yes,
Sami
sure, Prabhu.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. Jai Prabhupada. Prabhu, by the way, could you just give a brief introduction about yourself, or have you introduced yourself here before? I mean,
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry. So I've been here in the past, but I've been quite inconsistent with the sessions. So let me introduce myself again. So I'm currently based in Berlin. I'm originally from India. I'm working mostly as a software engineer and also as a musician here. I've been practicing more seriously, I would say, since over the past year or so. Started reading Prabhupada's books, got slowly associated with ISKM thanks to the grace and sincerity of the devotees. Here I've really been learning a lot. So yes, very happy and eager to continue associating. I have a lot more time now, or at least I am trying my best to focus as much more time as I can. Yeah, happy to also share more about myself and also connect individually whenever we can. I will do my best to keep joining these sessions.
Haribol. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining,
Yes,
and
Prabhu.
have you again.
Thank you so much for joining, Prabhu. Happy to have you here. How old are you, Prabhu, by the way?
I'm 29 from.
29. And are you married or are you not yet married or single?
No, I'm not married. I've been single.
Right, right. And how come you got introduced to this group, Prabhu? Maybe your friend or somebody introduced you. How come?
Well, I actually started reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, and I got quite curious. I actually started watching some videos from ISKCON initially,
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
um, and also from other groups. But I mean, I was kind of always interested in spiritual subjects, but I just wasn't. I've always also been curious about Quran, Abrahamic scriptures,
Mm-hmm.
even more impersonalist kind of literature ideas. But I couldn't find that I could really center myself in one. But actually, it was videos from His Grace Tattvavat Prabhu and Namainitai Prabhu that I
Right.
encountered on YouTube that really fairly convinced me that this is something I want to learn more about, and this is a path that I could sincerely follow. I mean, especially, looking up to uh, other personalities who are practicing it and learning more about it has been, I would say, strengthening my faith. So, yeah, and then slowly I joined the ISKM Telegram group, and yeah, I joined a few reading sessions last year,
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
but then got quite busy with family, and I also lost my job, so I was busy
Mm-hmm.
applying for jobs while I was in India, and then I came back to Berlin, and now I'm fairly more stable. So
So,
yes,
Prabhu, are
happy.
you chanting 16 rounds and are you following the four regular principles, Krishna Prashadam only, and so on?
So round I've been doing 8
Okay. Mm-hmm.
at the moment. I've been fairly consistent, at least in the past few weeks since I've come back.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, and slowly I want to increase over time
Right. Yeah,
because
yeah. Mm-hmm.
previously it was quite inconsistent. There were days I was even able to do 16 easily, but I wasn't, it was quite random. I wasn't actually being like, hey, today I'm going to do 16. It's just like if certain days I was in a good mood, I was doing more or less, but I'm trying to focus on consistency. As for four regulative principles, no meat eating. I've stopped eating meat for years, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been cooking my own food freshly. As for serving it to Krishna, sometimes I'm not really able to do it, at least symbolically in my head, I try.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm trying to eat very, at least sattvic food.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
No illicit sex. Yes, I haven't been indulging in any uh, for quite some time now,
Right, right,
years,
right.
and yeah, no intoxication as well.
Oh, very, very happy to hear this, Prabhu. So, very happy to hear this
And
and
I've
very
been
happy to
reading.
have you.
Actually, I've been spending more than chanting. I've been spending time reading Prabhupada's
Yes.
books.
Yeah, yeah.
That for me is something I have been more because I've always been into reading quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say sometimes I'm more like I have so many questions and I'm more curious to know. So I might like, compromise in my chanting because I'm like, oh, I want to learn this or I
Right,
want to finish this chapter. But I think I
right.
should prioritize my chanting first. And
Yes, yeah. And by the way, where are you from in India? Actually, you originate from India, right?
so my father's in the military, he's in the Air Force. So
Okay.
we moved every 2 years. So I don't really have like a city I could call my home. Also, my friends are spread around everywhere. In fact, Berlin is the city I've been for the longest time.
Right, right. And you've been in Berlin for how many years, Prabhu?
6 years in Berlin, and prior to that, I did my bachelor's also in a city in Germany.
Right,
So
right.
total 10 years in Germany have been.
Right, right, right. Right. And in India, like, I was asking, like, what's your ancestry? Like, you're from the south of India or north of where?
My family's Punjabi.
All right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, So my mother's side from Amritsar, my dad's side also, they like my grandparents, they migrated from Pakistan. I mean, during the migration
Right. Yes.
and the partition. And I would say fairly spiritual family, especially my dad's side. Like my great grandmother, she was a Vaishnav. I
Oh.
don't know what she was associated with. If she was associated with any particular groups, I haven't looked into it much, but because I barely knew her, also she passed away very early. I know she had a huge influence on my family, but I don't think any like my parents' generation they practiced it very seriously, or they also didn't have much theoretical background. It was more, let's say, closer to religious sentimentality, but
Yes. Yeah.
not actually seriously practicing. But yeah, I would say the influence has been there.
Yeah. Definitely. Anyways, very happy to have you here, Prabhu. Please do join more, and happy to
Yes,
hear that
Prabhu. I would.
you're interested in the philosophy and reading. So I will just
Yes, yes.
invite you to our sessions. Okay, first of all, I am I'm 20 years old now. I am from India, Tamil Nadu. I'm studying in Vellore in a local university here. So the point is that Prabhu, we have a lot of sessions here online which you can take advantage of, because the main principle of advancement in spiritual life, if you want to understand spiritual subject matters and realize them and actually practice them, you need the association of devotees. That is the main principle or the essence of making spiritual progress. That's the verdict of all the revealed scriptures, actually. So we have a lot of sessions. For example, every day from 8 p.m. Indian time, you can just check 8:30 p.m. Indian time. I don't know what it translates to Berlin time. We have our reading sessions which take place every single day where we read Srila Prabhupada's books. And when we read together, Shastra says that the understanding and the realization from reading Prabhupada books is much more than if we do it alone. So if you can join that, if you don't have that much work in that particular part of the day, please do. And every day we have our early morning Brahma Muhurta time, morning Japa sessions, Prabhu. So these are the most important sessions which one must attend to make spiritual advancement, because to chant Hare Krishna is because Srila Prabhupada said that he has written all of his books simply to convince us to increase our faith and to make us chant the Hare Krishna. So especially if we can wake up in the morning, the Brahma Muhurta time, which is about 1.5 hours before sunrise, and chant Hare Krishna, that gives the most spiritual result. So you can just see what time your Brahma Muhurta time starts, and you can start from that time. You can slowly try to come to the standard. And we have our japa sessions also, starting from about 4 a.m. Indian time, which goes all the way up to nearly 9 or 10 a.m. Indian time. So in between that time, you'll see devotees who are very much active. So you can see
Okay,
what time
Prabhu. Yeah.
4 a.m. to 10 a.m. is translating to your Berlin time, and you can try to join. And if you can chant along with the devotees, then your 8 rounds can become 16 rounds very, very easily. Because all of us started out like this, 3, 4, 5 rounds, something like that. But when you associate with the devotees, then you feel that, you know what, you feel inspired and you feel like, okay, today 16 rounds or I'm not going to sleep. And then you find that how everything just comes into easy uh, methods to progress. And even the prashadam, it's very happy to hear that you're cooking on your own. And it's just a matter
Yes,
of time
Prabhu.
before you start to
It's a
offer as
habit.
well.
Yes. Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and I will do my best. I'm very eager to associate, and I've also realized that the times that I have been more consistent, I can definitely myself see the spiritual advancement. So yes, Prabhu, absolutely.
Yes, Prabhu. Please do come. We're very happy to have you here. And every Sunday we have our Ishtagoshi sessions from 4 p.m. Indian time. This is the single most important session throughout the week, right? So
Okay,
if you
Prabhu. I
can,
will join tomorrow for sure.
yeah, tomorrow is Saturday actually. Day
Uh,
after is,
uh, yeah,
yeah,
after, sorry.
it's on Sunday. But if you can join that and associate with our devotee, his name is His Grace Prahlad Prabhu. He's a temple president and all of our mentor Shiksha Guru. He's a temple president of ISK in Pondicherry, and which is a 108 feet upcoming Radha Krishna temple in Tamil Nadu, India. And he's a very advanced devotee, and he guides all of us according to our position, really understanding our emotions, our situation, and everything, and he guides us accordingly. So please do join, and we are very much happy to have someone like you who's interested in philosophy and also sincere to practice Srila Prabhupada's movement. So Thank you once again, Prabhu, for your kind introduction, and hope to see you more in the Japa sessions, Ishtagoshi, so on and so forth. Anything you need, you can keep in touch with Sami Prabhu, or you can message me as well. Anything you need or whatever,
Prabhu.
and we're always here to be of some service and some help to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. And likewise, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So sorry, Sami Prabhu, for taking the time of reading, but yeah, I can continue if it's okay with you, Prabhu, right now.
Very nice. Yes, please continue, Prabhu, from here.
All right. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wow, you're playing around with the pen, huh? Right. Yet man professes to belong to a particular type of faith with reference to particular time and circumstance, and thus claims to be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or any other sect. Such designations are non-Sanatana Dharma. A Hindu may change his faith to become a Muslim, or a Muslim may change his faith to become a Hindu, or a Christian may change his faith, and so on. But in all circumstances, the change of religious faith does not affect the eternal occupation of rendering service to others. The Hindu, Muslim, or Christian in all circumstances is servant of someone. Thus, to profess a particular type of sect is not to profess one's Sanatana Dharma. The rendering of service is Sanatana Dharma. Factually, we are related to the Supreme Lord in service. The Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and we living entities are his servitors. We are created for his enjoyment, and if we participate in that eternal enjoyment with the supreme personality of Godhead, we become happy. We cannot become happy otherwise. It is not possible to be happy independently, just as no one part of the body can be happy without cooperating with the stomach. It is not possible for the living entity to be happy without rendering transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. It is stated in the 7th chapter, 20th verse. Kame sasir hita jnanaha prapadyante nya devataha tam tam niyamam ashtahaya prakritya niyataha swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender onto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Here it is plainly said that those who are directed by lust worship the demigods and not the Supreme Lord Krishna. When we mention the name Krishna, we do not refer to any sectarian name. Krishna means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. We are all hankering after pleasure. Anandamayo Vyashat. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. The living entities like the Lord are full of consciousness and they are after happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with Him, and take part in His association, they also become happy. Let's just read that again, Prabhu. Can you just scroll up? The living entities, like the Lord, are full of consciousness and thereafter happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with him, Prabhu, you can scroll down, and take part in his association, they also become happy. Right. The Lord descends to this mortal world to show his pastimes in Vrindavana, which are full of happiness. When Lord Sri Krishna was in Vrindavana, his activities with his cowherd boyfriends, with his damsel friends, with the inhabitants of Vrindavana, and with the cows were all full of happiness. The total population of Vrindavana knew nothing but Krishna. But Lord Krishna even discouraged his father Nanda Maharaj from worshipping the demigod Indra because he wanted to establish the fact that people need not worship any demigod. They only need to worship the Supreme Lord because their ultimate goal is to return to his abode. But Lord Krishna even discouraged his own father Nanda Maharaj from worshipping the demigod Indra because he wanted to establish the fact that people need not worship any demigod. They need only worship the Supreme Lord because their ultimate goal is to return to his abode. In the abode of Lord Sri Krishna, the abode of Lord Shri Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita 15 chapter 6 verse. Na tad bhashyate suryo na shanak shashanko na pavakaha. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dama paramam mama. That abode of mine is not illuminated by sun or moon, nor by electricity. And anyone who reaches it never comes back to this material world. Bhagavad Gita 15.6. This verse gives a description of that eternal sky. Of course, we have a material conception of the sky and we think of it in relationship to the sun, moon, stars, and so on. Of course, we have a material conception and we think of it. Yeah, okay. But in this verse, the Lord states that in the eternal sky there is no need of the sun, nor for the moon, nor for fire of any kind, because the spiritual sky is already illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti, the rays emanating from the Supreme Lord. We're trying with difficulty to reach other planets, but it is not difficult to understand the abode of the Supreme Lord. This abode is referred to as Goloka. In the Brahma Samhita, it is beautifully described. Goloka eva nivashati akhil atma bhutaha. The Lord resides eternally in his abode Goloka, yet he can be approached from this world. And to this end, the Lord comes to manifest his real form, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Prabhu, you can scroll down. When he manifests his form, there is no need for our imagining what he looks like. To discourage such imaginative speculation, he descends and exhibits himself as he is, as Shamasundra. Unfortunately, the less intelligent deride him because he comes as one of us and plays with us as a human being. But because of this, we should not consider that the Lord is one of us. It is by his potency that he presents himself in his real form before us and displays his pastimes, which are prototypes of those pastimes found in his abode. In the effulgent rays of the spiritual sky, there are innumerable planets floating. The Brahmajyoti emanates from the supreme abode Krishna Loka, and the Anandamaya Chinmaya planets, which are not material, float in those rays. The Lord says, Na tad bhashyate suryo, na shashanko, na pavakaha, yad gatva na nivarkante tad dama paramam mama. One who can approach that spiritual sky is not required to descend again to the material sky. In the material sky, even if we approach the highest planet, Brahmaloka, or to speak of the moon, we will find the same conditions of life, namely birth, death, disease, and old age. No planet in the material universe is free from these four principles of material existence. Therefore, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punar avartino rujuna. The living entities are traveling from one planet to another, not by mechanical arrangement, but by a spiritual process. The living entities are traveling from one planet to another, not by mechanical arrangement, but by a spiritual process. This is also mentioned, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitrin Yanti Pritirvataha. No mechanical arrangement is necessary if we want interplanetary travel. The Gita instructs, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, the moon, the sun, and the higher planets, also called Swargaloka. There are three different statuses of planets, higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth belongs to the middle planetary system. Bhagavad Gita informs us how to travel to, probably you can scroll down, the higher planetary systems, Devaloka, with a very simple formula. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. One need only worship the particular demigod of that particular planet and in that way go to the moon, the sun, or any of the higher planetary systems. Yet, Bhagavad Gita does not advise us. Oh, just give me 2 minutes. I'll just give my attendance and come back. Yet, the Bhagavad Gita does not advise us to go to any of the planets in the material world because even if we go to the Brahmaloka, the highest planet, through some sort of mechanical controversy by maybe traveling for 40,000 years, bracket, and who will live for that long? We will still find the material inconveniences of birth, death, disease, and old age. But one who wants to approach the supreme planet Krishna Loka or any of the other planets within the spiritual sky will not meet with these material inconveniences. Amongst all of the planets in the spiritual sky, there is one supreme planet called Goloka Vrindavana, which is the original planet in the abode of the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. All of this information is given in the Bhagavad Gita, and we are given through its information on how to leave the material world and begin a truly blissful life in the spiritual sky. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the real picture of the material world is given. It is said there, Urdhva Moolam Anda Sakyam Ashwatam Prahuravyayam Chandamshi Yashya Parnani Yashtam Veda Sa Vedavit. The Supreme Lord says, there is a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches down, and the Vedic hymns are its leaves. One who knows this tree is a knower of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita 15.1. Here, the material world is described as a tree whose roots are upwards and branches below. Hare Krishna, Amit Prabhu, Dhanar Pranam. Thank you so much for joining the reading session. Happy to have you here.
Dhanar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
From Jai Prabhupada, yes. Right. Here, the material world is described as a tree whose roots are upward and branches are below. We have experience of a tree whose roots are upward. If one stands on the bank of a river or any reservoir of water, he can see that the trees reflected in the water are upside down. The branches go downward and the roots upward. Similarly, in the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is but a shadow of reality. In the shadow, there is no reality or substantiality, but from the shadow, we can understand that there is substance and reality. In the desert, there is no water, but the mirage suggests that there is such a thing as water. In the material world, the material world, there is no water, there is no happiness, but the real water of actual happiness is there in the spiritual world. The Lord suggests that we attain the spiritual world in the following manner. Nirmana moha rita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinirvata kamaha, yeah. Dvandir vimukta sukha dukha samgyer gachanti amudaha padam avyayam tat. That padam avyayam or eternal kingdom can be reached by one who is nirmana moha. What does this mean? We are after designations. Some wants to become a son, some want to become the Lord, someone wants to become the president or a rich man or a king or of something else. As long as we are attached to these designations, we are attached to the body because designations belong to the body. But we are not these bodies, and realizing this is the first stage in spiritual realization. We are associated with the three modes of material nature, but we must first become detached through devotional service to the Lord. If we are not attached to the devotional service of the Lord, then we cannot become detached from the modes of material nature. Hmm. We are associated with the three modes of material nature, but we must first become attached to devotional service to the Lord. If we are not attached to devotional service to the Lord, then we cannot become detached from the modes of material nature. Designations and attachments are due to our lust and desire. Prabhu, you can scroll down. Our wanting to lord it over the material nature. As long as we do not give up this propensity of lording it over material nature, there is no possibility of returning to the kingdom of the Supreme, the Sanatana Dhamma. That eternal kingdom, which is never destroyed, can be approached by one who is not bewildered by the attractions of the false material enjoyments, who is situated in service of the Supreme Lord. One so situated can easily approach that supreme abode. Anybody else would like to read Prabhu? Maybe Sami Prabhu, you can continue, or Amit Prabhu, or Rahul Prabhu, anyone? Pranjal Prabhu, anybody who would like to continue?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, who wants to read?
Thank you so much.
I could continue, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Avyakta iti uktas tam aho paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tad dham paramam mama. Avyakta means unmanifested. Not even all of the material world is manifested before us. Our senses are so imperfect that we cannot even see all the stars within this material universe. In Vedic literature, we can receive much information about all the planets and we can believe it or not believe it. All the important planets are described in the Vedic literatures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, and the spiritual world, which is beyond this material sky, is described as avyakta, unmanifested. One should desire and hanker after that supreme kingdom. For when one attains that kingdom, he does not have to return to this material world. Next, one may raise the question of how one goes about approaching that abode of the Supreme Lord. Information of this is given in the 8th chapter. It is said there, Antakale kamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sadmadbhavam yati nasti astra samshaya. Anyone who quits his body at the end of life remembering me, attains immediately to my nature, and there's no doubt about this. One who thinks of Krishna at the time of death goes to Krishna. One must remember the form of Krishna. If he quits his body thinking of this form, he approaches the spiritual kingdom. Mad Bhavam refers to the supreme nature of the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Our present body is not Satchitanand. It is Asat, not Sat. It is not eternal, it is perishable. It is Chit, full of knowledge, but it is not Chit, full of knowledge, but it is full of ignorance. We have no knowledge of the spiritual kingdom, nor do we even have the perfect knowledge of this material world, where there's so many things unknown to us. The body is also Nirananda. Instead of being full of bliss, it is full of misery. All of the miseries we experience in the material world arise from the body. But one who leaves his body, this body, thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at once attains a Sachananda body, as is promised in the 5th verse of the 8th chapter, where Lord Krishna says, "He attains my nature." The process of quitting this body and getting another body in the material world is also organized. A man dies after it has been decided what form of body he will have in the next life. Higher authorities, not the living entity himself, make this decision. According to our activities in this life, we either rise or sink. This life is a preparation for the next life. If we can prepare, therefore, in this life to get promotion to the kingdom of God, then surely after quitting this material body, we will attain a spiritual body, just like the Lord. As explained before, there are different kinds of transcendentalists. The Brahmavadi, Paramatmavadi, and the devotee. And as mentioned in the Brahma Jyoti, spiritual sky, there are innumerable spiritual planets. The number of these planets is far, far greater than the planets of this material world. This material world has been approximated as only 1/4 of the creation. In this material segments, there are millions and billions of universes with trillions of planets and suns and stars and moons. But this whole creation is only a fragment of the total creation. Most of the creation is in the spiritual sky. One who desires to merge into the existence of the Supreme Brahman is at once transferred to the Brahmajyoti of the Supreme Lord and thus attains the spiritual sky. The devotee who wants to enjoy the association of the Lord enters into the Vaikuntha planets, which are innumerable. The Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansions as Narayan with 4 hands, and his different names like Pradyumna, Anirudh, Govinda, etc., associates with him there. Therefore, at the end of life, the transcendentalists either think of the Brahmajyoti, the Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. In all cases, they enter into the spiritual sky, but only the devotee, or he who is in personal touch with the Supreme Lord, enters into the Vaikuntha planets. The Lord further adds that of this there is no doubt. This must be believed firmly. We should not reject that which does not tally with our imagination. Our attitude should be that of Arjun. I believe everything that you have said. Therefore, when the Lord says at the time of death, whoever thinks of him as Brahman or Paramatma or as the personality of Godhead certainly enters into the spiritual sky. There is no doubt about it. There's no question of disbelieving it. The information on how to think of the Supreme Being in the time of death is also given in the Gita. Yam yam vani smaran bhavam tejati ante kalevaram tam tam avaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. In whatever condition one quits his present body, in his next life he will attain to that state of being without fail. Material nature is a display of one of the energies of the Supreme Lord. In the Vishnu Puran, total energies of the Supreme Lord as Vishnu, Shakti, Paraprokta, etc. are delineated. The Supreme Lord has diverse and innumerable energies which are beyond our conception. However, great learned sages or liberated souls have studied these energies and have analyzed them into three parts. All of the energies of Vishnu Shakti, that is to say, they are different potencies of Lord Vishnu. That energy is para, transcendental. Living entities also belong to the superior energy, as has already been explained. The other energies are material energies and the mode of ignorance. At the time of death, we can either remain in the inferior energy of this material world, or we can transfer to the energy of the spiritual world. In life, we are accustomed to thinking either of the material or the spiritual energy. There's so many literatures which fill our thoughts with the material energy, newspapers, novels, etc. Our thinking, which is now absorbed in these literatures, must be transferred to the Vedic literatures. The great sages, therefore, have written so many Vedic literatures, such as the Puranas, etc. The Puranas are not imaginative. They are historical records. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the following verse. Maya mugdha jiva nahi svata Krishna jnana. Jivira kripaya kaila Krishna Veda Purana. The forgetful living entities or conditioned souls have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord, and they are engrossed in the thinking of material activities. Just to transfer their thinking to the spiritual sky, Krishna has given a great number of Vedic literatures. First, he divided the Vedas into four, then he explained them in the Puranas, and for less capable people, he wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, there is given the Bhagavad Gita. Then all the Vedic literature is summarized in the Vedanta Sutra, and for future guidance, he gave a natural commentation on Vedanta Sutra called Srimad Bhagavatam. We must always engage our minds in reading these Vedic literatures. Just as materialists engage their minds in reading newspapers, magazines, and so many materialistic literatures, we must transfer our reading to these literatures which are given to us by Vyasadeva. In that way, it will be possible for us to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. That is the only way suggested by the Lord, and He guarantees the result. There is no doubt. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anushmara yudhyacha. My arpita mano buddhir mam evashyasi asamshaya. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me, and at the same time, you should continue your prescribed duty. And fight. With your mind and activities always fixed on me and everything engaged in me, you will attain to me without any doubt. Hare Krishna Prabhus. Would anyone like to continue?
Thank you so much for reading, Prabhu. So, Sami Prabhu, we can do the Shikshashtakam now.
Prabhu, it's like 2 pages.
Oh,
Right.
is it? All right, all right. Then someone else, because I was thinking all we could finish the introduction with the other devotees, maybe.
Prabhu, can I read?
Yeah, okay, Prabhu, no issue. You can read. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, it feels never ending. The introduction is really long. That's nice.
Yes.
Uh, he does not advise Arjun to simply remember him and give up his respective occupation. No, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work. Human society is divided according to work into four divisions of social order: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The Brahman class or intelligent class is working in one way, the Kshatriya or administrative class is working in another way, and mercantile class and laborers are all tending to their specific duties. In the human society, whether one is a laborer, merchant, warrior, administrator, or farmer, or even if one belongs to the highest class and is a literary man, a scientist, or a theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his existence. Uh, The Lord therefore tells Arjun that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then he will not be possible. it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya also advised this. He says that one should practice remembering the Lord by chanting the names of the Lord always. The names of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So Krishna's instruction to Arjuna to remember me and Lord Chaitanya's instruction to always chant the names of the Lord Krishna are the same instruction. There is no difference because Krishna and Krishna's name are non-different. In the absolute status, there is no difference between reference and referent. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always 24 hours a day by chanting His names and molding our lives, activities in such a way that we can remember Him always. How is this possible? The Acharyas give the following example. If a married woman is attached to another man, or if a man has an attachment for a woman other than his wife, then the attachment is to be considered very strong. Once one with such an attachment is always thinking of the loved one. The wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him, even while she is carrying out her household chores. In fact, she carries out her household work even more carefully, so her husband will not suspect her attachment. Similarly, we should always remember the supreme lover, Sri Krishna, and at the same time perform our material duties very nicely. A strong sense of love is required here. If we have a strong sense of love for the Supreme Lord, then we can discharge our duty and at the same time remember Him. But we have to develop that sense of love. Arjun, for instance, was always thinking of Krishna. He was constant companion of Krishna, and at the same time, he was a warrior. Krishna did not advise him to give up fighting and to the forest to meditate. When Lord Krishna uh, del- delineates the yoga system to Arjun, Arjun says that the practice of the system is not possible for him. Arjun Uvacha, Yo yam yogas tvaya prokta samyena madhusudana एतस्याहं न पश्यामि chan chanchalatvat स्थितं स्थिरम्. Arjuna said, O Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. But the Lord says, Yoginam api sarvesham mad gate nan taratmana Shraddha Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. So, uh, one who thinks of the Supreme Lord always is the greatest yogi. The supermost jnani and the greatest devotee at the same time. Lord further tells Arjun that as a Kshatriya, he cannot give up his fighting. But if Arjun fights remembering Krishna, then he will be able to remember him at the time of death. But one must be completely surrendered in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. We work not with our body actually, but with our mind and intelligence. So if the intelligence and the mind are always engaged in the thought of Supreme Lord, then naturally the senses are also engaged in His service. Superficially, at least, the activities of the senses remain the same, but the consciousness is changed. The Bhagavad Gita teaches one how to absorb the mind and intelligence in the thought of the Lord. Such absorption will enable one to transfer himself to the kingdom of the Lord. If the mind is engaged in Krishna's service, then the senses are automatically engaged in it. This is the art, and this is also the secret of Bhagavad Gita, the total absorption in the thought of Sri Krishna. Uh, Modern man has struggled very hard to reach the moon, but he has not tried very hard to elevate himself spiritually. If one has 50 years of life ahead of him, he should engage the brief time in cultivating this practice of remembering the Supreme Personality of God. This practice is the devotional process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedana. These 9 processes, of which the easiest is Shravanam, hearing Bhagavad Gita from a realized person, will turn one to the thought of Supreme Being. This will lead one. This will lead to Nishchal, remembering the Supreme Lord, and will enable one, upon leaving the body, to attain the spiritual body, which is just fit for association with the Supreme Lord. The Lord further says, Abhyas Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanya Kamina Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Partha Nuchintayan. By practicing this, remembering without being deviated, thinking ever of the Supreme Godhead, one is sure to achieve the planet of the divine, the Supreme Personality, Oksana Kunti. This is not a very difficult process. However, one must learn it from an experienced person, from one who is already in the practice. The mind is always flying to this and that, but one must always practice concentrating the mind on the form of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna or on the sound of his name. The mind is naturally restless, going high, going hither and thither, but it can rest in the sound vibration of Krishna. One must thus meditate on Paramam Purusham, the Supreme Person, and thus attain. The ways and the means for ultimate realization, ultimate attainment are stated in the Bhagavad Gita, and the doors of this knowledge are open for everyone. No one is barred out. All classes of men can approach the Lord by thinking of Him, for hearing and thinking of Him is possible for everyone. The Lord further says, Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi shu papayorah स्त्रियो वैश्यस्तथा शूद्रस्तेऽपि यान्ति परम गति किम किम पुनर्ब्राह्मण पुण्य भक्त राजर्ष राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यम असुखम लोकम इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्. O son of Pritha, anyone who will take shelter in me, whether a woman or a merchant or one born in low family, can yet approach the supreme destination. How much greater than are the Brahmanas, the righteous, the devotees, and saintly kings. In this miserable world, these are fixed in devotional service to the Lord.
Haribol. Okay, we can continue from this tomorrow. Thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhu.
you so much, Prabhu, for your kind reading. Amit Prabhu, thank you. Oh, Shrikant Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dhanar Pranam Prabhu, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining. Namaste, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Prabhu, how many more pages for the introduction?
Oh, 3 pages.
Prabhu, I just have a small suggestion. After we finish the introduction, why don't we read the introduction again? Let's do things slowly, but actually let's try to understand and, like, try to, because every time we read the Bhagavad Gita 3 times, right? But do you remember what you read the last time? Like we keep forgetting, right? So, but if we repeat and we really try to slowly, very slowly read, then we'll remember and we can use for preaching also. What do you say? What do you suggest?
Yes, Prabhu, that's okay.
All right, Prabhu. So now Shikshashtakam. Can I start?
Yes, Prabhu.
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहा धावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्दिका वितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदां पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्.
नाम्नाम् अकारि बहुळ निज सर्वशक्तिस् तत्रार्पित नियमितः स्मरणे न काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि दुर्दैवाम् ईदृशाम् इहाजनि नानुराग.
तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिनामानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः।
नदनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कविता वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवता भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि।
ऐनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजा स्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय।
नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदारुधाय गिरा पुलकेणुषितं वपुपधा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति।
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रवसायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे।
आश्लिष्य वा पादरातां विनष्टु माम् अदर्शनान् मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नाथ।
Haribol, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the hearts of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. No, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O
O
Almighty
Almighty,
Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, or nor do I desire any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling the separations, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Sri Siksastakam ki jai.
Jai.
Right.
Okay, the 10 offenses to the holy name.
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating in the holy name of the Lord. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu.
To disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures of persons of the Vedic version.
To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. To commit sinful activity on the the holy name. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Not have complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against his offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success written.
हे राधे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Nanda Gaudiya Vaishnava की जय, श्रीला
जय।
प्रणिताय गौर